So how come it's not cool when I'm at Clarkson? It's only cool if Kid Rock's there? Like Jim Otto was here.
I think that your praises should be sung. And you know, I didn't know all of this about you, Jim, and I'm a fan of yours. And the fact that that chef took you under his wing at 16, he's seen something in you that you didn't even know existed yet. And I think you're our best kept secret, and that we should be shouting out your praises, absolutely. And you should be more of a rock star than
Nobody's
Kid Rock.
bigger than the brand. I mean, I guess that's very kind of you to say that, so thank you. But
You're welcome.
nobody's bigger than the brand. I just love what I do. I mean, I'm really fortunate. I get to go to work every day, and I get to wear a white jacket and go to work, and it means something to me each and every day. I'm really proud to be a chef. I love being around people. I love teaching and sharing my love of what I do with other people that share that same goal. So back on our history, you know, Aldo was here forever. There was a obvious point that we knew that there was going to be a transition from Aldo as the corporate chef to the new generation of Andiamo and what that new corporate chef was going to be. I had come in as the chef at Dearborn. I ran the Dearborn store for about a year and a half. You know, everybody says, how are you so successful? I'm only successful because I surround myself with great people. And that's what it is. How do I run a $50, $60 million a year corporation? Because I work with great people. And I find a way to keep those people motivated, make sure they're passionate, and they share the same goals, and they'll go through that wall with me, whatever it is. It's pure and simple. I'm nothing without my team. Forget it. You know, and there's different guys in this world, you know, like who's a football fan in here, right? Everybody plays fantasy football and everything. I mean, you got your guys. What does Tom Brady look like when he's on the sideline?
Pissed off.
He's pissed off, man. He's up and down. And
Yeah.
if a receiver turns left instead of right and drops that pass, or he's in his space, man, he's on that sideline. And he's running by the offensive line. I mean, he's that guy. He's intense and he's in it. And then you got other guys like Eli Manning, Super Bowl winning quarterback. He just goes and sits on the bench. Yeah, he dropped that pass, I guess. I don't know. He looks like that. Hey, there's different types of leaders in this world, you know? There's Brett Favre's and there's Peyton Manning's and Eli Manning's. I mean, they're all Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, but they just have a different way of delivering it. I'm an egomaniac. What do you want from me? I can't help it. Sorry. So I got very fortunate. I had done a very good job running the Dearborn location. Joe came to me and said, you know, we'd really like to transition you into this role with Aldo. I want you to work with him. I want you to learn everything you can from him. I want you to sponge from him so that we can carry on his legacies and traditions. And we have very similar philosophies, very similar styles of cooking. I've cooked that way my whole life. We buy the best, we make it fresh, we make it from scratch each and every day. And I think we all know that, right? I mean, we all tout that. But when someone comes to you, you know, Russ, you know, someone comes to you and says, oh, your salmon's farm raised?
Yeah. It's not. Well, it is. But
Right, so that's why we're here today. I'm not going to belabor it, but that's why we're here today. You know, I had an example in Riverfront. Customer came in and said, this isn't veal. Veal's white. You know? Your veal's like, has a rose, like reddish color to it. That's not veal. And people don't know how to, right, you don't know how to handle that. Like, you don't know what the right response is to that. And if the manager doesn't know the response to it, well, now I'm really in trouble. So that's kind of the whole circling of the wagons here. That's how we get back to, you know, where we started from. Our house sauces, all those recipes. I promised them I'll never change it. I'll never change. I've traveled all over. Bologna, Italy, where bolognese sauce comes from, that you're going to taste today, our meat sauce. I've been through Bologna, Italy. I purposely went there. It's the birthplace of meat sauce. I was there for 2 full days, and I probably ate in 8 or 10 different restaurants, and that's why they hate Americans. I'm guilty. You know why Europeans hate Americans? Because of me. Because it's my wife and I, we go to Italy, we wake up for breakfast, we eat breakfast, at 11 o'clock we're at a restaurant as soon as they open having lunch, and I'm ordering 2 pastas with bolognese. We're already full, but we take 2, 3 bites. I just want to try it. And then they're 80% still there, and I'm like, no, just take it away. You know, you don't do that in Europe. I mean, they're like, what? I'm like, just throw it away. I just wanted to try it. And then bring me a tortellini with bolognese too. I want to try that. And then I do that 4 times a day. I mean, but that's what I do. I mean, and I tell you, I haven't had a bolognese sauce as good as ours, and I've traveled all over. So why change something that's great? You know, our pasta recipes, our sauce recipes, there's so much great stuff there. Our traditions, we talked about that. We all know what that is, but Buddy alluded earlier. Hey, we butcher our steaks in-house. That's great. What does that mean? You know, oh, we clean our, you know, everybody, I think you all know, oh, well, we're very proud to feature our calamari that we clean in-house.
And what you're saying that we are best, but our location has been changing. The Nashville people love it. Freelance Nashville, it's been changing. I think we start on it every Saturday. People upset when they come out of the freelance. I love it today. I recommend it's like a red skin. They upset. Our zip sauce and Nashville root goes very good with like a gravy kind of thing. So I spoke to the chef, whiskey, requesting it, and you will get it back. So what you're saying, we cannot keep our customer, but our customer they don't want it. They don't want to steak it anymore. Because we can see the steak come with the red skin. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So that's a great, and I'll follow up with that. Make a note about that for downtown for me, would you please? Sorry.
I mean, nothing personal.
No, but it is important because I have a simple rule, and I said it a minute ago, but I didn't really allude on it. Nobody's bigger than the team. And you guys, I go to your stores. I mean, you guys are my last line of defense before that food goes out. I empower you. I don't care who you are. If something ain't right, you go to the window and you say, "I'm not taking this out because it ain't right."
Where you said all my career is restaurant, working to about 23 years in the restaurant business, so this is my career. So I'm not passionate about it. That's why I'm nothing personal here.
Right, absolutely not. We got to be better. We're better together as a team in this room than we are as one person sitting outside.
Another note is a rumor I have been changing our scallopini. We're going to start buying it instead of pounding it. I just a rumor that I'm not sure about that. So,
Hey, don't believe what you hear.
okay.
So, Chef, you want me to make a note? Is it the plating?
I just want to follow up with Chef Naj on a filet downtown.
Okay.
It's much more than that.
And at the mashed potato instead of risk. We're starting on this area now. Mashed potato.
Got it. So, a lot of things have changed over the last, 8 years since Aldo has passed away. Our Strauss veal program, our Strauss lamb program that I brought in, our beef program, our chicken program, our seafood program. We've done a lot to further carry on these traditions and make our mark. And I've been here for 11 years, and I stay here because I'm very, very committed to this brand and to this family, because I've never worked for people that know the business and support the business and share those goals and values. When I go to Joe and say, I want to buy this veal, it costs 20% more, but here's the benefits of it, and here's why I want to do it. You just support it and say yes. No other restaurant owner in town is going to say that. Times got tough in 2008. The economy crashed. The automotive took a dive. I mean, we've finally gotten out of it in the last year and a half. We've been recovering, but it's only going to be a matter of time before the economy dips again. We don't cheapen anything that we do. We don't cheapen our quality. We don't buy cheaper olive oils. We don't buy cheaper tomatoes. We don't do anything. We still buy the best quality out there, no matter what the cost. So that's important. Our pastries and desserts, too. We have a lot of in-house production that maybe you don't even know about. All your pastas are made here. We're going to take a little tour of the kitchen. All of our desserts and pastries are made at our off-premise location. So when someone comes here and says, "Oh, do you guys make the Kit Kats here?" What do you say? There's no word "no" in your vocabulary. If you work in the dining room, "no" should not be in your vocabulary.
They're made in house.
Exactly.
And what, on the West, we make the cannoli filling and the teriyaki.
If someone asked me that and said, "Oh, do you make these Kit Kats? Are they made here in house?" So yeah, they're made in our. Yes, I would say yes.
It sounds better on just by saying yes. It's true, we do make them ourselves. That's really what they want to know.
Right. What's the difference if it's made in my Andiamo kitchen here or your Andiamo kitchen there? So I would just change that philosophy and that understanding. And it's all in your delivery, and it's all in how you present things. So that's very important. We've kind of breezed through our history. 1989, Joe Vaccari takes over Andiamo with the help of Chef Aldo. The brand continues to flourish. Exponential growth. We had 12 Andiamo at one point. We realized that, with the downturn in the economy, sometimes it's not just enough to serve great food. If you don't have a great location, if you don't have great management, you don't have a great team, you don't have a recipe for success. There's 3 things that make a restaurant successful, in my humble opinion. You gotta have great food, You got to pair it with great service, and you have to do it in the right location, in the right atmosphere. How successful would we be if we opened in, you know, I don't know, if the location is not right, we could have the best food and the best service, we're going to fail. And that's unfortunately happened to us a few times, but I think that shows the strength and stability of who we are, that nobody's perfect. And we're willing to recognize that if something's not right, we don't want to hurt the brand by continuing trying to do business in a location that's not doing anything other than hurting the brand. So a lot of you guys, you know, that came from Royal Oak, you guys have great successful careers in other restaurants. It's helped strengthen us by bringing our talented people from that location and bringing you to a place. Now you're at Bloomfield, Kristen, you're making obviously much more money than you were at Royal Oak. I mean, how's it? It's a win for everybody. So I think we have to just realize that, you know, people say, oh, I heard you closed your Royal Oak location. I'm like, you're absolutely right, we did close the location. And I said it was the best move that we've made, and here's why. Everything's positive. Monday night, if it's raining and snowing and you do 13 covers, people, then the next day you're at the party, you're at the barber shop, or you're at the party store, or you're wherever, and it's like, oh, you're working on Yamaha's business. Oh, it was terrible last night, I couldn't. If we served 13, we're like, you wouldn't believe how busy we were last night. You know, it's all a perception. So we need to put a spin on things. I'm like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. So we don't need to talk about, we kind of breezed through all of that already.
Just trying to get just the package.
We talked about Mr. Carey, with Chef Aldo, his relationship. We talked about all of our brands, how we're growing. I want to get to the good stuff. Look at that handsome fella. You guys know he played football at Central Michigan University?
No. Wow.
So sometimes you see him right now, last like a couple months, he's been like this, coming through your restaurants. Now you know why. A lot of years of football. Chef Aldo, great story about Chef Aldo. Again, I'm German-Irish, he's 100% Italian. In his mind and his old world of thinking, it was always the belief that a true Italian should take over as the corporate chef of the Andiamo restaurant group. You can't have a
We didn't follow that.
you can't have a kid that grew up in South Detroit, you know, German-Irish kid, take over the restaurants. So when I worked at the Dearborn store, he would come and visit the store, and he'd come like once a week, especially because I was a new chef to the company. So he'd come to Dearborn all the time. And Dearborn is a very unique store when I went there. I didn't rustle feathers, but I have a very different style of how I do business. Everybody in my kitchen wears the uniform, everybody matches. Everybody wears the same exact hat, and the hats all match. Everybody wears their cap forward. Nobody's allowed to wear their baseball caps backwards. Everybody has a pen and a Sharpie in their pocket or they go home. Show up late, I don't need to go home.
Why isn't that happening on all locations?
Because I need a little bit more support. You know, you dress like a team, you look like a team, we're gonna act like a team.
That's right.
All about the team. I played sports my whole life. My Major League Baseball career didn't work out, so I became a chef instead. What do you want from me? I tried acting, it didn't work. Tried modeling, it was even worse. You know, I still got a hope for stand-up comedy. I'm working on that one yet. But Aldo came into my location in Dearborn, and I say things a lot, and people look at me funny. I realize I do not own any of these restaurants. I realize I'm not a partner in any of these restaurants. But you know what? I treat them like I own them.
That's right.
And I always say my. Not because I'm arrogant, because I really believe that they're mine. When somebody drops a plate and someone claps, I'll fire you. You drop something, that cost this company $25. That's not funny. Job opening? What is that? What does that show? You don't do that in my kitchen. You think that's funny? Go home. Think about your job. I had a guy that did that. You guys laugh at Joe Muir in Bloomfield. I had a server drop a tray like of china and glassware all over the floor, and one guy laughed. I sent him home. I said, "You're fired. Don't come back." He begged for his job. I made him write an apology letter to everybody in the restaurant for his behavior. And I said, if you want your job back, you're going to write an apology letter to everybody that works in this restaurant, because that cost this restaurant almost $500. A little bit over the top maybe, but you know what? He did. You think that set a tone in that restaurant?
Absolutely.
It's all about setting the standard and setting the tone. They don't even think about it. But you know what? It's the best place to work. Everybody there has the most fun ever. So anyway, Aldo comes into Dearborn. I baked all my own bread there. I'm a fanatic. I didn't buy any bread when I worked at Dearborn. It was the busiest location in the company at that time. Yes, busier than Andiamo Riverfront. I did $5.6 million when I was the chef at Andiamo and Dearborn. And I baked all my own bread, fresh from scratch, each and every day. And I made almost all of my own pastries there every day.
Wow.
And it was infuriating to everybody in the company. I had the best food costs in the company. I had the best labor costs in the company. Things were humming in Dearborn. And Mr. Aldo came, and he didn't like my bread. I said, well, my customers love it. Everything about it is the right thing to do. I don't want to buy bread from somebody. I want to make my own bread. And he didn't like it. He didn't like it. It was a constant debate that one of the breads I made was a sourdough, like a rustic, mild sourdough, though. Because a heavy sourdough doesn't go very well with Italian food, and I recognize that. So I made a very mild, it's actually an Italian bread called a ciabatta, which is Italian for slipper. So I have a homemade poulish, my own sourdough starter. I also made a rosemary olive loaf, and I made classical French baguettes every day, and then I would rotate specialty breads.
Wow.
And he always argued that the sourdough didn't go with the Italian food. He thought the olives were overpowering because it didn't go with everything on the menu. And why would you serve a French baguette in an Italian restaurant? So he'd come and he'd call Joe, and Joe would call me like, you know, do you really need to bake your own bread? All doesn't like it. This, you know, we fought and we fought and we fought about it because it's the best thing to do. And he came one day, and it's like he'd walk in the back door, and I was like, really, today? You know, I'm just not, I don't have the energy today. And he spent 4 or 5 hours, and I don't like this, and I don't like that, and I don't like this, and I don't like that, you know. And, you know, it was just, it became a kind of a fun battle back and forth. And so I say goodbyes, and he's going to leave, and I walk him up to the hostess stand, and he's getting ready to go out the door. And I'm going back in the kitchen, and for some reason I noticed that at the front hostess stand, 5 minutes later, he's still up there. So I'm like, you know, what's going on up there? I watched the hostess go up to him with a bag and hand him a bag, and he walks out the door.
It was a bag.
I go, what was that all about? She goes, I can't tell you. I go, what do you mean you can't tell me? I want to fire you. You tell me right now. She's like, he wanted me to secretly go get 2 loaves of your bread and wrap them up because he wanted to bring them home. He said he was having a dinner party at his house that night. He wanted to serve your bread.
Awesome.
So that finally was like the icebreaker that him and I really needed. So next time I saw him, and just leave it at that. But when I asked him how that bread was for his dinner party, he just, if you know Mr. Aldo, and if you had ever been around him, he had this really like, I don't know, this like smirky kind of a smile, like sheepishly, like, you know, it just set the tone forever. So I'm not going to belabor me. You're going to hear enough about me, but about our history and our tasting. You know, we talked about our concepts. We've talked about our brands, pricing. It's about providing that high-quality food and dining experience every time they come into our location. So we're going to kind of break down the menu in different parts, go through each section of it, and talk about, you know, the different sauces, the different soups. John's going to start bringing out some sauces for you so that we can taste our sauces. So we're ready for sauce whenever you're ready. Chef Pat is in the back putting some tastings together for you. Just, I think it's easier and have a better understanding. You can tell me something. I went to college for a very short time when I was chasing my baseball career, and I could never comprehend anything. I could sit there and listen to the lecture, and I just was like lost. I would just like feverishly write things down, and I couldn't really comprehend it. But if you show it to me one time, I get it in a snap. Like a cookbook, even to this day, I'll read a cookbook, and I'm like, what? You know, you show me a picture, like, oh, okay, now I got it. So my brain works a little bit differently. So I hope that yours will, you know, reinforce some of those things about our sauces. House sauces, what do we know about them?
San Marzano tomatoes.
San Marzano tomatoes. I think we all know that, right? All of our house tomato sauce are made with San Marzano tomatoes. Oh, that's great. But if I'm a customer, I don't know what the hell that means. You know? You're going to buy this new car, like, oh, it's got dual carb quasi traction, you know, whatever. What does that mean? You know? So, San Marzano tomatoes. When you make a tomato sauce, what's the characteristics? What's the flavor profiles you want in tomato sauce?
It's gonna taste like tomatoes.
Absolutely, right?
Acidic, but not too much, a little sweet.
We like sweetness. We want to have real, natural tomato flavor, which is predominantly on the sweeter side.
Good texture.
Anything else? Texture is very important. Yes, thank you. So let's talk about what that's going to be. So boom, I want to make tomato sauce. What am I going to use to make it? Tomatoes. Okay, well, what kind of tomatoes? San Marzano tomatoes. Why? San Marzano tomatoes are an elongated, pear-shaped tomato. You go to the grocery store, you see these things, they call them Roma tomatoes. They're like these little, you know, elongated, pear-shaped tomatoes that they grow in a hothouse. They look pretty, but they have zero flavor because they're genetically modified and grown to look pretty. So when you go to the grocery, you're like, wow, look at those bright red tomatoes. I'll buy those. They're icky. They have no flavor, yes. I'm going to add that to my vocabulary, too. Icky, I like it. So San Marzano tomato. Just by nature, if we took every variety of tomato and put them all here in the room and started breaking them all down, San Marzano tomato has the thickest skin. We don't want our sauce to be bitter, so we have to remove the skin from the tomatoes when we make the sauce. What other part of the tomato is bitter? The seeds. So we have to remove the seeds. San Marzano tomato only has 2 seed ventricles. You split that tomato in half, it's got 2 halves. You scrape the seeds out very quickly, very easily. Most tomatoes, when you slice them, you open them up, there's all sorts of ventricles in there. It's very full of seeds, it's full of water, it's full of, you know, liquid. You slice it, you go to put it on your burger, and it sogs your burger up. So thick skin, 2 seed ventricles. Thus, only having 2 seed ventricles, it means it has a tremendously high ratio of flesh to actual tomato. So it's a good yielding tomato. So let's go through our checklist. Everything that I'm looking for in a tomato, boom, that's it. Now, I've determined this is the best variety of tomatoes for me to make my sauce with. Now, where do I want to buy them? Where do I want to grow them? Where am I going to purchase them from? Well, let's grow them in the best, most fertile feeding ground in the entire world. The base of Mount Vesuvius outside of Naples in Italy. Volcanic soil, great mineral content to the soil, self-filtration, lots of water running down the mountainside. It's hot, it's in southern Italy, but it's also cool because it's on the ocean. You get beautiful coastal breezes all day long. Lots of all-day sun, sun sets in the east, rises in the west, depending on which side of the room you're sitting on. So all-day sun, it's beautiful, right? We all drink wine? What's our favorite wine, Marie-Therese?
Oh, goodness. It's
What
gonna be-
varietal?
Italian wine? I don't know. I like
That's fine. Doesn't matter.
I like a Riesling, exact. but
Riesling,
it's-
great.
yeah.
Perfect example. Riesling. High sugar content, white grape. Perfect. You can make Rieslings all over the world. Who makes the best Rieslings, John? The Germans. Because they have the perfect fertile grounds, they have the perfect climate for that grape. Michigan does pretty well with it because we have similar areas. How much Riesling comes out of Florida? You get the point, right? So, best tomato for making sauce, grow it in the most fertile, sexiest land in the world, you're going to produce the best tomato in the world. They come from Italy. We buy them when they're packaged in season. We buy them by the container load. They come over on cargo ships. We buy massive amounts of tomatoes because we want to have the best tasting sauce. It starts with the best quality ingredients that we make fresh from scratch in our restaurants each and every day. But with that comes buy-in. It has to come buy-in from your cooks and your chefs and your team. When I say I surround myself with other passionate, crazy people, what's the sense of me buying the best tomato, making this incredible sauce, so the guy heats it up in the morning, burns it, and serves it all day? Or he heats up so much sauce on Monday when it's snowing, I'm going to serve 13 people for dinner, that it sits there all day and cooks and cooks and cooks. And then he takes it, pours it out, and we reheat it the next day and serve it again. Right? You ever have that issue in Clarkson? Sometimes you look at the minestrone and it's like dark brown instead of red. You can, what do you say? Well, the soup's tired, right? I mean, it's like leftover, it's been sitting there all day, it just doesn't look fresh and sexy anymore. Do you still serve it?
No.
You're allowed to say no in the kitchen, you don't say no in the dining room. No, I'm not serving it. Chef, Chef, you take a look at the minestrone, it looks a little bit off today. Or you go to Dan. Dan, minestrone, it looks like shit, I ain't serving it. Let Dan go fight the battle.
That's right.
So in front of you, you have 3 sauces. Closest to you should be your tomato sauce or pomodoro. Going clockwise around, you should have your bolognese or meat sauce. And then further around, you should have your palmina. P-A-L-M-I-N-A. Palomino is indeed a small horse. You'd be surprised how many servers go to the table and say, oh, our palomino sauce. And I've really been challenging our chefs to really, really work with you guys and keep your education on these types of things. What is palmina sauce?
Green tomato.
I think sometimes, though, in honesty, our servers say, well, it's half tomato sauce and half Alfredo sauce.
Oh, gosh.
It's a vodka sauce too, which is true.
I would say that it's our tomato sauce mixed with Mornay cheese.
That's what I was
So
saying.
I actually had a server say that to me, what you just said. That was half Alfredo and half tomato sauce.
Boy, that sounds appetizing. I mean, that's why I don't sleep at night. So my hair's falling out, you know? Because I know those things happen in our restaurants. That's terrible. So pomodoro sauce, our basic tomato sauce, our house tomato sauce. There's nothing simple and basic about it. So if someone said, well, describe your pomodoro sauce. Chef starts off in his beautiful cauldron with extra virgin olive oil. He simmers garlic, onions, carrots, celery, parsley, herbs and spices, and all that cooks and seasons the oil. Then he takes those beautiful San Marzano tomatoes, the sweetest. What's that? No. The San Marzano tomato, it's the sweetest, fleshiest tomato. Ours are grown at the base of Mount Vesuvius in Italy. Those are peeled and chopped. They're added to that simmering battuto to combine all of the flavors, the sugar in the tomatoes. There's absolutely a high sugar content in the tomatoes, so we don't simmer the sauces for more than an hour or so that they stay sweet, they don't become bitter. Right when chef is ready to pull the sauce off, he's going to just lighten it with a little bit of butter and cream to give it a beautiful velvet palate. That's how they describe my sauce in Las Vegas. How often does one of our Andiamo servers describe our pomodoro sauce like that? Our bolognese sauce, we take, because we are proud to butcher all of our steaks in-house, we have the most succulent morsels of beef tenderloin, ribeye, New York strip that are ground in-house. As our battuto simmers, which is a beautiful combination of extra virgin olive oil, garlic, herbs, spices, prosciutto that we cure in-house. Oh, what's prosciutto? Pancetta, I'm sorry, that we cure in-house. Oh, what's pancetta, might you ask? Well, it's an unsmoked, salted, cured pork belly that flavors our sauce. To that, we add all these beautiful hand-chopped, ground, butchered meats, San Marzano tomatoes. You see where I'm going with this? That's why you're the professionals in the front of the house. I just stand over a stove with tongs and cook for a living. You have the knack for talking with people. You have the knack for being the face of the company. I want you to have my knowledge, and I want you to take your personal spin on it. You know, I had a server, I think it was at Hall Road, that I went there one time, and he was describing zip sauce, and I was kind of like, You know, and then he finished and said, it is truly the nectar of the gods. And I was like, I don't know if I like that, you know, but I'm not going to shun the guy because that's his spiel and that's his thing, you know. Like when I'm in the kitchen and I'm standing in the corner, like looking over the dining room, like Andy and I are in the kitchen, like, hey, you see the Pats game last night? It was sweet, man. Last minute field goal, beat out Kansas City. Kansas City's first loss, yada yada. And then when he's out in the dining room, I see him at the table. He's like, you know. But that's cool. I mean, that's what he's in his game, right? And then he comes back in the kitchen. He's like, Chiefs should have won that game. Yeah. But that's cool. I mean, that's what you guys need to do. You need to take all the information that we have, put your spin on it so you can go and deliver it to your guests. And do it in a special way that doesn't bore them, but where you sound confident and you can actually deliver it intelligently and eloquently by not saying things like palomino. They're like, oh, you're going to chop up a horse and put it on my pasta. What? I mean, that's embarrassing stuff. So our tomatoes, those are 3 of our signature sauces. There's a lot of history behind Palomino sauce. Did Chef Aldo create it? Did he not create it? I like the story that he did. You know, there was a woman that came into his restaurant all the time. Her name was Palmina. And she was looking for something different. She wanted a different sauce. I've heard different stories that Lely's created it. I'm not really sure. It's definitely a Detroit thing, again, like zip sauce. So we kind of call it like our signature sauce. And I promise you, if you go to other Italian restaurants, they will spell it P-A-L-O-M-I-N-A or P-A-L-O-M-I-N-O. So ours is a true Palmina. Why? Because the woman that it was created for, her name was Palmina. So kind of a fun, cool little story. But we really take a lot of pride in our sauces. Buying the best ingredients, making the sauces fresh from scratch, but then it means tending to those sauces throughout their existence in our restaurants. When I make 50 gallons of this sauce, is it cooled properly to make sure there's no bacterial growth? Is it stored properly? Is it served to you fresh? Is the gentleman that heats it up in the morning putting as much love and attention and care into it as I would if I were heating it up in the morning? Do we hold it properly? Do we overcook it? Do we try to sell sauce that's old and tired? There's so many factors that go into making a restaurant successful. So many times I go into a restaurant, I taste the sauce in the line, I'm like, forget it. Sometimes it might need a pinch of salt, sometimes it might need a little drop of cream, other times just throw it out. Let's just start over. And the sauce in the cooler is beautiful and pristine. It's just been abused throughout the cycle. So that's the buy-in. Everybody has to understand, everyone has to believe in what we're doing and the quality that we're trying to present. We talked about that too. What makes our bolognese so special? What makes it so unique? Because we do butcher in-house. Everybody else buys ground beef. You go to the grocery store, it comes in this compressed tube. When they sell all the fillets, all the ribeyes, all the New York strips, when they sell everything that's out there, sorry, 1 second. Once they sell all those byproducts, hi, can I call you right back? Thank you. Sorry. I was told by Joe McCarron I'm never allowed to turn my phone off. Just kind of the rule of being a corporate chef, I guess. He told me that one day. I was somewhere and I had my ringer off and I didn't answer. He called me like twice. The next, like I called him an hour later, he was fuming. So you don't ever turn your ringer off, ever. 10 years later, I haven't turned my ringer on. What was I talking about?
You were talking about our bolognese and why the meat is so special.
Oh yeah. So after butchers cut New York strips, they cut ribeyes, they cut porterhouses, and they sell all the beautiful muscles. Once they sell the best part of it, what do they do with all the leftovers? They grind it up.
I mean, other restaurants.
Yeah. They grind it up. And that's what they sell to people that make their bolognese sauce with those ground meat products. Our meat sauce is made with the best cuts on the animal. That's special, that's different, that's unique. We're going to talk a little bit more about what makes all that beef so special and what makes all that beef so unique. Yes?
Don't they save some of the trimmings though from like the fillets and stuff?
We have beef tenderloin tips on our menu.
Right.
You know, one of my best-selling items in Las Vegas is chopped steak. It's totally 1970s. It's so 1970s, I love it. Because back in the day, that's how chefs cooked. They got in a whole side of beef, and they broke it all down, and then they took all those beautiful morsels, and they hand chopped them and they formed them into like what looks like a burger patty, but it's not a burger. It's filet, New York strip, ribeye, and all these beautiful muscles. And then they serve it like a chopped steak. But you can serve it for $20 instead of $80 because, you know, it's not byproduct, but you know what I mean? Because it's little pieces chopped up. I have it on my menu in Vegas because I'm arrogant. Because nobody else can do it because everybody else buys all their steaks already cut in little bags. They can't afford to do a chopped steak. I can do it because I butcher everything in house. So I love it when other chefs come in for dinner, like, oh, he's got chopped steak on his menu? You know? Yeah, because I'm a winner.
Hallelujah.
That feels very like rat.
It is, it's cool. Our Vegas place is super Rat Pack. The fedora's hanging on the wall and everything, it screams like, you look over, you think Frank Sinatra's gonna be sitting there. I mean, it's got that vibe, it's cool. It's very cool. I don't know how you describe that, like that Rat Packy, it's like classic chic. You know, like if you were sitting on the Titanic having dinner, that's how it feels. How do you describe that? I don't know, but that's a vibe. I talk about that all the time. Like, I want that like old Rat Packy, like cool steakhousey kind of, like how you feel. Yeah, question.
Can we just go back to the board?
Yes.
Thank you.
Was there a question about it?
No. Okay, good.
Britt, you got a question? No?
There's
Yes.
fresh red pepper in our meat sauce?
Crushed red pepper flakes?
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You can't taste it. You've got 4 taste buds. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter. As many of those taste buds as I can accentuate in everything that you taste, I'm gonna be more successful. You have a more intense flavor profile. So by putting just a little bit of, you know, dried spiced pepper, like yeah, we all call them crushed red pepper flakes, right? We shake them on our pizza.